Today I share with you the story of a classic Christmas carol, written by David T. Warner and illustrated beautifully by Omar Rayan. Good King Wenceslas coming up next. Welcome to Read with Maren, where I share with you fun, wholesome, and inspiring stories that you can share with the whole family. Stay to the end, and I'll share with you some of my thoughts on the book, as well as the inevitable bloopers. This book is a treasure as it reminds us of how to truly receive the spirit of Christmas in our own hearts. Let's begin. The castle was brim with the blessings of Christmas, and not just because festive music rang through the corridors and pine boughs trimmed every beam. On this St. Stephen's Day, the courtiers had gathered their Christmas treasures and given them to the poor. Now, as the feast of St. Stephen drew to a close, 70 knights pushed back long wooden tables and offered their hands. 70 noble women lifted the edges of their gowns and glided to meet them. Bathed in the glow of a well-fed fire, King Wenceslas looked out upon his court, and at the signal of his benevolent smile, their Christmas revelry began. With a nod to his page, King Wenceslas slipped behind the throne into the darkness of his private chamber. The boy was hungry and weary from waiting. "Now can we eat?" he complained, sliding to the floor. "In time," the king answered, turning away. The king had cared for the boy since his childhood, and soon the boy would be a man. With a wave of sadness, he realized that the blessings of Christmas had already come to his courtiers, but not yet to his loyal page. Was it too late? He wondered. From a tall, narrow window, King Wenceslas watched the sun hang on crimson clouds and die away. He studied the hedge-bound fields and rolling hills, now swallowed up in the snow. His eyes narrowed. There, against a row of spidery trees, was a dark speck. A man, perhaps, stooping and searching for wood to warm his family. Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even. Brightly shone the moon that night, though the frost was cruel, when a poor man came in sight, gathering winter fuel. "Come quickly, lad," he called. As the boy struggled to his feet, King Wenceslas seized his hand and dashed up narrow steps to a turret balcony. "Look! Do you see him?" The king pointed breathlessly. For a moment, the page boy could not speak. Rarely had he seen the world in quite this way. Asleep under a coverlet of white, glistening under a full moon. The boy would have fallen asleep himself, but for the wonder that was waking within him. When the dark figure moved again, the king guided the boy's gaze. "There, in the trees, do you see him now?" "Yes, yes," the boy answered. "And," pressed the king, "is he one of the household? Is he one of us?" "Oh, no, sire," said the boy. "None of us would be out there. What with the freezing cold, and heaven only knows what creatures might be lurking." "Hither, page, and stand by me, if thou knowest it telling. Yonder peasant, who is he, and where, and what his dwelling?" "Sire, he lives a good league hence, underneath the mountain, right against the forest fence, by St. Agnes' fountain." King Wenceslas took comfort that the boy knew the people of the kingdom, even those that lived far from the castle, and he rejoiced that the humble peasant, foraging in the snow, could very well be the boy's salvation. As before, the king snatched the page boy's hand and led him down a winding staircase. "Down, down is the way," the king mused to himself as they hurried along. In the royal pantry, he tossed the page a satchel and ordered him to fill it. As they worked, the page noticed the king's eyes were wet, though his speaking was giddy like laughter. "Hurry, my boy, hurry! Bring me flesh and fruit so fine, bring me pine logs hither. Thou and I will see him dine when we bear them hither." Page and monarch, forth they went. Forth they went together, through the rude wind's wild lament and the bitter weather. Soon the king and his page boy were following the peasant's tracks. King Wenceslas carried a cord of split logs across his strong shoulders, wrapped tightly to keep them dry, and in each hand he clutched a heavy cloth sack. Behind him, the boy bravely struggled under the weight of his own satchel. The boy wondered if he ought to watch for creatures lurking in the shadows, but in his heart he knew there were none. Indeed, looking into the infinite expanse above, he saw the snowflakes descending like concourses of angels, winging their way down to watch over him and lead him safely along. As the sky cleared, the night air grew colder. The soft blanket of snow that had first enticed the boy was now threatening to ensnare him. With every step, its icy surface broke into shards, trapping the boy's feet and turning them to ice. When the boy could no longer feel his toes, he pled with the king for rest and relief. Sire, the night is darker now, and the wind grows stronger. Fails my heart, I know not how. I can go no longer. King Wenceslas answered tenderly, as one walking the same path himself. Mark my footsteps, good my page, tread thou in them boldly. Thou shalt find the winter's rage, freeze thy blood less coldly. It was a strange invitation to walk in the king's footsteps. At first, the boy struggled to do it. But as before, Wenceslas took his hand and helped him find the path. Soon the boy was marching boldly behind his master. Miraculously, with each step, his frozen feet began to warm, and the warmth rose within him and gave him strength. In his master's steps he trod, where the snow lay dinted. Heat was in the very sod which the saint had printed. Therefore, Christians, all be sure, wealth or rank possessing, ye who now will bless the poor, shall yourselves find blessings. At the edge of the dark forest, a little cottage came into view, its golden light sparkling on the surface of an icebound spring. With a single knock, the king and his page boy were welcomed into a circle of a large and happy family. As guests in the house, they were invited to rest, but the boy would not be still. With the children as his helpers, he fed the fire and set out the unexpected meal. When all had feasted to fatness, they pushed back the little table and began to sing and dance. From the corner of the cottage, good King Wenceslas watched the boy dance and smiled to himself. The boy was taking the hands of the children and leading each one, just as he had been led. Their sweet, innocent laughter was the music of Christmas, filling the room and ringing through the forest. In time, the king and his page boy reluctantly left the warm cottage and ventured once more across the snowy fields. Side by side they strode, now heedless of the cold night air. And the king knew that it was not too late. Now the blessings of Christmas had come to all of his kingdom because they had come to the boy. Therefore, Christians, all be sure, wealth or rank possessing, ye who now will bless the poor, shall yourselves find blessing. What an incredible story this song tells and has been written in this book. I love Christmas time. I love the spirit that is felt, the joy, the lights, and so forth. However, what I found within our family is that when we focus on the presents that we want to receive or just give to each other, there's something missing, something lacking. If we truly want to find the spirit of Christmas in our lives and in our hearts, it means we need to look out beyond ourselves. We need to look for those who are truly in need, and we need to do everything in our power to bring them the same joy and light we desire in our own homes. I promise you that as you will look out towards others, at their needs and their desires greater than your own, you will find a warmth in giving to them and serving them that you will not find anywhere else. Merry Christmas. May the spirit of Christmas ever be present in your hearts, and may you always seek to serve others. Thank you for joining me. And remember, always look for the good in the world. And if you have trouble finding it, create some yourself. We'll see you next time. Shall find yours. Bless the poor. Shall let him down a winding stair. As the little cottage came into view of a classic Christmas carol, Christmas Treasures, which the saint had printed. Oh, do you want me to go back to in time?